also having a business class. So students, I want you to take out your pen, your books, because you're going to be having a very important business class. Na hii inaguza kila mtu, by the way. Kila mtu. You'd really need this. I think you'll also need a calculator hapo kando, because you're going to be touching on your finances, the whole smart financial management. And our teacher for today, Lenda kuita mwalimu. George Munga, he's a finance and accounts insurance analyst. And he'll be helping us understand. We have a whiteboard here that will be analyzing all this, the numbers. It's about 44 days, by the way, Munga, to Christmas.
Thank you.
I don't know on your end how you're planning things, but everyone is really planning the same. And we'd really like to know from you how you're planning all this and what you're doing in this current economic situation, what you're doing matters financial. We'll be sampling your feedback as you continue, but most importantly, you can always call us live, 0795 045 864. He's an expert. He'll be helping you understand how do you make sure that budget yako inakaa vizuri sana. Munga, welcome once more.
Thank you, Stanley.
As the teacher for today.
Yes.
For the, obviously, kuna koga na a background of the conversation. It's November now, a month to the end of the year, very few days actually. When you look at when the year began, people always have these amazing plans that they have. This is what I want to do. I want to buy a car, I want to rent this, you know, financially speaking. From your analysis, from what you've gathered, how does it look for Kenyans?
This year has been challenging for most Kenyans. And let me say this, it's not only in Kenya.
Okay.
It is across the world. So in as much as we feel a bit pressurized when it comes to the economy, let us know that it is not only in Kenya, but also across the globe. Coming back to our situation in Kenya, I know most of us in Kenya have a tendency of putting budgets or saying I want to do this and this in this year, and sometimes you achieve 50%, you achieve 60%. This year, unfortunately, most people have not achieved much in terms of the to-do list for the year. But you should not pinch yourself so much and say, I'd plan to invest this and do this and do this, and I've not been able to do so. If you've not been able to do that, don't pinch yourself, because most people find themselves in that bracket. What is important for me this year is, have you been able to pay your recurrent expenditure, your day-to-day expenditure, your living expenses? If you have been able to do that, then you are among the lucky few in the economy who have been able to survive through. I was talking with a friend of mine, I think last week, and we said this year the challenge has been to stay afloat.
Okay.
Just put your head above the water as you wait for things to change, because definitely they'll change.
Are you analyzing this from the standpoint of people who earn a salary, who are employed, or for the employers now?
Both.
Because I mean, you'd get the SMEs, small micro entrepreneurs who anauza ni mama mboga, you know, the day-to-day that we really interact with the service providers, or now wenye wanangojea mshahara, HR lazima afanye kitu. Yes.
You see, we are in an ecosystem, and the ecosystem is such that even if I'm employed, my employer has to get business somewhere to be able to give me work to do so that they can employ me. So it is a cycle.
Okay.
If my employer is not doing very well, then that it means even my salary, he'll pay me my basic salary. Maybe there's no increment for that particular year. There's no bonus for that particular year. So it's a whole ecosystem. So when I'm talking about the economic crunch, it affects both those who are employed, those who are employed, those who are in small businesses. It cuts across, and everybody is affected. Expect maybe a small percentage of the population who could be, I could say, in the political class. Maybe they're the ones who we can say are exempted from that.
And Munga, what you're talking about is what was and is on the front pages of today's papers, most
Correct.
of them, talking about how the economy is right now. And as he says, the very huge percentage of the population wameona dust when it
Correct.
comes to their finances. probably someone had planned something, a whole budget. I really want to go to Diani for this end of the year. I want to do something, you know, but then something happened, you know, in between. So right now, it's 44 days to Christmas. I think about maybe 50-something days to the end of the year. How do you make a turnaround in your budget, whatever you have right now, to ensure that you have a soft landing when the year comes to an end?
I think for this year, for any typical family or any typical household, you need to really look at your leisure budget as you cross the new year. Remember, the government has brought in a lot of deductions. I think in the last quarter, or the last half a year, that has affected our disposable incomes, so to speak. So if you had planned maybe 30, 40, or 50,000 for leisure, just think twice, because as we cross into the new year, I can bet you.
And sorry to cut you short, because I mean, maneno ya pesa inatakanga tunaelewa hapa vizuri. So I think you can as you continue.
Yes.
We have certain hypotheticals of someone called, let's say, John, who maybe earns the 50,000 that you're talking about, and how they break down, and maybe they have a family of two. So how do they actually ensure that ikifika 31st, they're not sweating profusely?
I was talking about somebody who probably has had a leisure budget of, say, 50,000. That is for maybe travel.
So okay, so you can just have another page. Let's add. Yes, there you have it.
Yes. So let us call it leisure. $50,000. That is what we want to look at this year. Remember, if you are employed,
this is for the whole year.
This is for the whole year. Yes, maybe you had planned to travel to Mombasa or to Diani with your family. Remember, over the last, I think now this is going to be the second month or third month where we are affecting SHIF, is it?
Yeah,
the deductions that were rolled out, is it? So if you're earning, say, 100,000 within the year, your earnings was 100,000. That was the net. Then after the deductions that have been affected, your net probably has gone down to 80,000. This is very practical, because this is what has taken care of now the increased statutories that the government is deducting from you. So remember, if you had budgeted for the 50,000 as leisure, and your income has gone down to 80,000, your expenses, what you call your living expenses, are gone up by on the lowest side 10%.
All right.
Because remember, the rentals, if you're renting, are going up because of the MRI, the taxes on rentals. It has gone up, so your landlord is likely to increase your rent come next year. School fees are likely to go up because costs of buying goods has gone up. Things like water, electricity are likely to go up. You saw the signal from KPLC last year. So I mean, in the last press briefing. So the living expenses are going to go up by around 10% in the new year. Remember, your disposable income has gone down by almost 20% because of the reductions that has been affected. So if I'd planned to do a leisure budget of around 50,000, probably I might want to review that for this year. Why? Because I don't know what will happen when we open the new year with the government programs that are coming on board. Then maybe I would rather save this money for what we call precautionary expenditures that might come in the new year. If I don't save the total 50,000, then maybe I can save 10, 20, or 30,000 to go into any precautionary expenditures that will come in the new year. And number two, something that I wanted to also put across, that most families are struggling as we speak, and in a struggling economy, sometimes you'd better off go and just have a helping hand on your neighbor or on your family friend or a relative. So instead of spending the entire 50,000 on leisure, at least cut it down, maybe 25,000. 5,000 you can help somebody across your yard, so that they can have something to eat over Christmas. That's what I wanted to put across.
But most importantly, all this that you're mentioning, they have to be on a certain budget.
Correct.
Either you write it down, whatever kind of method that you're going to also help us, some hacks for the same, because as you say, getting into January, we always say January has 62 days.
Correct.
You know, it's very long. There's quite a number of responsibilities. Mtu amelipwa for the December, and then you end up using the December salary. Yes, and then come January, you don't really have anything. So help us break down if right now someone is, caught pants down, they had not planned for the whole year, and they're trying now to plan with whatever little they have. How do they budget for end of the year and also January?
What is important, especially in the current economic environment that we are in, that need to track each and every expense item that you spend on, and that is what, as assisted personally, that is what I do, and I believe that is what most people who are surviving do. What do I mean by that? If you track your expenses one by one, you will be able to see that at the end of the month, if you are struggling, or if your math is not mathing, let me use that, then you can clearly see, I can cut here, I can be able to channel this other money this side. I want to use another example so that we can track that. Where is my rubber?
It should be this one. I think so.
This one.
Is it this one or no? Should be, yes, that one.
Or another page.
Yes.
Or put for me another page.
Okay. There you have it.
Thank you. If our guy John earns a total of 100,000 per month, is it? That is after all the deductions, after all the HIF and all the statutory deductions. If he earns 100,000, then if he's prudent in his financial management, then he'll say that out of the 100,000, rent he pays, say, 20,000. That is for his rentals, maybe for his utilities. Utilities, I mean water bill, electricity bill, and all those bills.
Yes.
Probably give it 6,000. Assuming he's a family person, so we have school fees. He spends maybe another 20,000 per month. These are monthly expenses.
Hypothetically, for
yes.
one child.
For one child, yes. And then maybe he has parents.
The quote-unquote black checks.
Yes. Maybe that's 10,000. And then probably he has
opening my calculator.
He has transport because he has to go to work every day. Here he has 8,000. And then he has food, both at the family level and his. Let us give that another maybe 20,000. So out of his 100,000, his total expenditure for the month is how much? 20, 26, that is 46, 56, 56, that is 64, that is 84, if I'm right, is it?
Yes, 84,000.
84,000.
You're really quick.
84,000.
Yes.
So his savings is how much? 16,000, is it? If he has a saving of 16,000, this is now what he can take maybe to leisure or to investment. If I am this guy, then maybe I can take out of the 16,000, I can take 6,000 to leisure, and then I can take the balance of 10,000 to investment. This one takes care of any eventualities. Remember, there are eventualities in life.
Okay.
Somebody can get sick,
Yes.
or something can just happen. So this money goes into a sinking fund every month. At the end of the year, he has like 120,000, is it? So per annum, he has 120,000. This is an investment, is it? And then here he has how much? 72,000 for leisure, is it?
Okay.
So this guy is quite secure. Why did we track this? Just in case things were to change, and probably his landlord says that this year I'm going to add 5,000 on your rent, so you have to pay 25,000. He'll have to think. Yes, he'll have to think. Where do I get the extra 5,000 to pay my landlord? He'll check. Utilities you cannot change, is it? That has remained the way it is. School fees might even go up.
Even higher.
So you might want to think, where do I get maybe another 5,000 to add to school fees? Parents, maybe you cannot change that, because even them they have to live, because they're the ones who have taken you to school. Transport you cannot change. Food you cannot change. So maybe the only other place you can change is, which is the easiest place. Most of us will be tempted to look at the investment, or the amount that goes to investment. But the easiest place to attack is leisure.
Okay.
No, it's not a very good thing. But maybe that's the safest, not the easiest, but the safest place to attack is leisure. So that here, the 6,000 that you are spending here, maybe you can spend now 3,000.
Okay.
And channel back the 3,000 to rent, and maybe you can deduct another 2,000 from your investment to go to the increased rent. Let me tell you something. There's very slim chance that most employers will increase salaries next year.
Yes.
Very slim chance, because most employers are also struggling. So it is better to start looking at your budget or at your spending as early as this, so that you know, what do I do just in case this parameters were to change in my disadvantage? Where do I reduce? Where do I pick money to be able to survive? I think in the next 1 or 2 years, the challenge on most households will be, how do you survive on a day-to-day?
Okay.
Not really leisure. Maybe investment, you can spare something for investment on your day-to-day.
And so even as you also understand this, we'll get to the whole investment so that people understand. So this is how your budget looks like, and this is where you can invest. Real quick, before you get into another hypothetical, in case you're just joining us right now, this is a hypothetical of John, who earns 100,000 after taxes zote zimekatwa, and this is what he goes with. Help us understand your style of budgeting here, because some use 50, 30, 20, some, wanatumia algebra ingine hapa kufanya budgeting. What's your style here? My budgeting here is very practical. Most finance experts will tell you to save 20%. Yes.
That applies in an ideal situation, where things are ideal, things are not changing very fast.
Okay.
But in our current economic situation, things are not idealistic. Meaning we must adapt with what we have. If it was an ideal situation, then I'll tell you that out of your 100,000, ensure that you save 20,000. I'd be very theoretical with you, because that might not be possible in the current environment. So what I advise now is we do what we call a zero-based budget. A zero-based budget is, once you get your money, look at your expenses one by one. That's why I came up with this.
So you start.
You start from you have the money. You're not budget. You want to see, I have this chunk of money. How do I spend it on my living expense? I still have something for saving. So you'll go for the mandatories first, what you must pay, that the items you cannot live without, and then go to what you can do,
then
what you can do without. Remember, this side here you cannot do without. This is a must, is it?
Yes.
Your child must go to school. You must have a roof over your head. You must have water, is it? So this is a must. But leisure, you can maybe pass a day or two without going to your favorite pub, is it? Savings, maybe sometimes if you're so tight, you can say, I'll save tomorrow. It's very important, but you can say, today I might not save, but tomorrow I will save. So what I've adapted here is what we call a zero-based budget.
Okay.
So and that is what is idealistic as we speak today. If things were normal, then I would go back to the other budget, say you must save at least 20% of your income. I'm not trying to say that we discourage savings at this particular time, but ideally, what is practical now is what we're discussing.
So basically, pesa inkiingia sahi, your finance guy uone ametingisha account.
Correct.
The first thing that should come to your mind is, I need to first list what my wants.
What, yes.
Then now before I start thinking, these are my needs, and then this is what I save.
Correct.
Okay.
That is it. That is it.
Right.
That is it.
So that's John's hypothetical. Ini tuko na John hapa ana earn 100k na hii economy pesa mzuri sana. Tuangalie another person. Tuene tumwite nani? Tumwite Mary. Mary is single. She earns half of what John earns. She earns 50,000. You need after umetoa everything. And she's planning on buying a car and probably even having a land somewhere in Kamulo, mahali, aka quarter acre tu. Yes. She has big ideas. That's the point of it. With this, and we are at this juncture of the year, obviously there's all maneno ya leisure, nini, the budgeting. So help us understand, budget for Mary. How will it go?
Before I budget, let me start by saying this, that sometimes if you have a goal in your mind that you want to achieve, then you must be able to forgo some certain things to be able to achieve that which you which you want. I'll be very what you call very idealistic or very practical with this scenario.
Yes.
Assuming you are earning 50,000 and you want to buy a plot and later maybe build a plot in say Kamulu will go for minimum of 500,000. So assuming Mary has a goal of buying a plot of 500,000, is it?
Yes.
That is her first, leave alone building it. She just wants to first of all buy the plot. What she's earning is 50,000.
Yes.
She is a single parent,
yes.
Meaning that this is what she depends. She depends.
She's single. She doesn't have any child.
Oh, okay. Yes. She's as we speak, she's still single. That makes it even easier, okay. Is it? What the next question would be? How many years does Mary want to be able to save to buy this piece of land?
In
so
advice,
maybe for this particular nini, let us give it a maximum of 5 years.
Okay.
Maximum of 5 years. Okay. Maximum, is it? So
by 2029.
Yes. So if she has to save 500,000 5 years, then without factoring maybe interest and all that, then she has to save 100,000 every year. So amount to save 100,000, is it?
Yes.
So if she has to save 100,000 every year, then we divide this by 12 to see how much is she supposed to save per month. That comes to how much?
Tuangalia hapa hesabu ya haraka 100 divided by 12. That's about 8,333.
So we say around 9,000, is it?
We round it off, yes.
Or 8,500,
yes.
Is it? So if this is her goal, then out of the 50,000, she must deduct 8,500 every month, is it? So her disposable income, that one goes straight every month. So her net disposable income or net income after savings is 41,500, is it? So this is what she's supposed to budget with. Okay. And this now has to cater for her rent. So let us now come here and see how she'll manage to balance this, is it? Her rent, we'll give a figure there. It'll have to cater for her utilities.
Kwanza hapo kwa rent, I mean, it's always a whole conversation. People really trying to understand if I earn this amount, how much should I be?
I want to come to that.
Yes.
Her utilities. Maybe the other thing is her transport, because she has to go to work.
Transport, we also have food there.
We have food. is it?
Ile black tax.
And then
mahali,
for parents, is it?
Yes. Lazima utume kitu kwa
Lazima
village.
utume kitu. And then for ladies, a very important budget for them is
Yes.
grooming.
Yes.
This is very important for them. Is it?
Hapo kwa John tulisema ni
John can survive. John can survive. John can survive with the kinyozi ya 50 bob.
yes.
But for ladies grooming is a very important budget.
Yes.
I don't know if I've left any budget line outside.
Okay, we'll continue. In case viewer unaona to all the Marys out there.
Yes.
Mkiona kuna mahali tunafaa tuongeze mnaweza tumia. Yes.
So let's start with grooming for ladies. These are ranks number 1, by the way. These are ranks number 1.
How much?
So maybe this one will give say 10,000.
Is 10,000 enough, Marys out there? Mtatuambia.
They'll tell us.
Yes.
Maybe parents here now will give 5,000. Is it?
Oh, yeah. Naambio it's enough kwa maskini.
It's enough. Okay.
10,000 is enough.
Good. For food, maybe another 10,000. Transport, maybe 6,000.
Lakini 10,000 food, watu wanakula nini huko?
Transport, maybe 6,000. Maybe utilities, water, electricity, let us give it 5,000.
Wi-Fi, nini?
Yes. So she has an item of rent that she's not
Yes.
paid. So all these we have 10, 15, 25. This is 31. Is it?
Yes.
31 plus that is 36.
36.
So she has 14,000 to play around with,
Yes.
is it? You cannot stay without at least something in your pocket at the end of the at least at any given time. So say we put here 10,000, so that she has a balance for eventually what we call precautionary motive of 4,000.
So akienda kujipeleka kwa nyumba ya 12,000.
So that the reason why I put rent as the last item is because this is a very important consideration.
Yes, it
if
is.
you're doing a budget.
Yes, it is.
If I'm earning 50,000 and I go into a house of 30,000, there's a problem there. If it's a lady, then you'll find maybe that is when a lady starts to, let me not mention that, but starts looking for other extra sources of income to be able to, because you've gone into a lifestyle that your income is not able to support. Let me give you an example of myself. When I started working, I was earning 18,000.
Okay.
And because I was earning 18,000, I knew I could not afford a house of 10,000. I went for a house of 5,000 in Mathare, definitely. And you're living. So sometimes you must cut your coat according to your size.
Yes.
So if your 10,000 can afford your house in Umoja, why not? When you come to town, nobody asks you whether you come from Kileleshwa or from Umoja. So cut your coat according to you, and you live a very comfortable life.
Naambio kuna correction hapa kidogo. Big to the expense is about 46,000. I think we can do that.
This 46,000, we can do that again. This is 10 plus 5 is 15. 25, is it? 25 plus, this is 31. 31 plus 5 is 36.
Then plus now the rent.
Plus now the rent now is 46. That's why you have balance of 4,000.
4,000.
Yes.
So maneno iko sawa sawa hapo.
So I was talking about the rent. The reason why I put it last is you must consider, especially if you're living in an urban center, consider where you live that can accommodate your income. Don't strain yourself to go and live in a neighborhood where your income doesn't fit. You will strain at the end of the day.
Okay.
And you remember, this girl here has a goal of buying a plot in Kamul and eventually maybe building it. So this 4,000 can still go into a sinking fund to be able to start saving for her eventual building of this property. If this lady was to do this for 10 years, there'll be a very abstract difference between her and somebody who went and rented an apartment or rented an inn on Gong Road that is worth 30. A very big difference. Because after 10 years, this lady will be having a property, that is number one, a built property. And if she has a built property, the value of that property, maybe at that time, will be 10, 20, between 10 and 20 million. And that is capital that she has been able to accumulate over that period of time. If the converse was true, and she was to go and rent, an apartment of say 30,000, probably she'll be saving nothing at the end of the month. Yes. And at the end of 10 years, that rented apartment doesn't become yours simply because you're paying rent faithfully over that period.
But one would wonder, you have 4,000 left in your account. Mbele nyuma ni 4,000, and you have about 31 days in a month, things happen. Apart from what you had, ulikuwa make a budget vizuri, this is strictly what I'm using here. But things happen in between the month. Kuna ule rafiki nakwambianga nisaidie 2K urgently. You know, how do you maneuver through that with the little that you have here? Until you make sure that, I mean, this is just 1 month, and you maintain your goal for the 100,000 for the whole year.
That is where now discipline comes in.
Yes.
Remember, you've budgeted for all the essentials. You've even taken care of your parent, and you have a balance of 4,000.
Yes.
When somebody asks you for 2,000 urgently, obviously you don't have, and you'll be telling the truth that you don't have. If, for example, you're not saving this amount of money, the 8,500, you'll be having 8,500 in your account. And if a friend was to ask you to give them 2,000 urgently, you'll gladly give. But what does it do to you? At the end of the day, you're not achieving your goal. And sometimes, let me tell you, your friends do that because they know you can give. Nowadays, there are several loan apps that you don't even need to you just log in and you get the money. Why would they want to come to you and take an interest-free loan when they can get a loan for something that they charge interest? That's the question you should ask yourself.
I was getting there now. So, for example, you have Nyaringita loan app, for example. And Mary, because she's a very good person, akaambiwa nisaidie 2K urgently, akatumiana. That definitely has a dent on her account.
Correct.
So she's trying to see how can she mend that dent, Rudy back to default settings at least. So if she goes through the route, let's have another page. If she goes through the route of borrowing, either through friends or through a loan, how do you manage and balance your debt versus what your goals are?
Let us use Mary still. And I would want to pick still Mary's earning 50,000, is it? And her goal is to buy that plot at 500,000. Mary can decide to go to the bank and borrow this money immediately and purchase that property, is it? If she was if he was to go to the bank and borrow this loan, then the bank would levy an interest. So this borrowing. So the interest on this. So Mary borrows.
Yes.
Shillings. 500,000, is it? So interest on this loan. Remember, when you're borrowing, there's interest on the loan, is it? And currently the interest are not cheap. Currently, the lowest I've seen is 22.
20, yeah, they range about between 20 to
22 years. So let us say 22%. Yes. So every year interest expense is equal to how much? 22% of 500,000?
Calculator haraka. Students niliwaambia leo mtahitaji calculator sana. Usema 22%
of 500,000.
Is it 11?
Divide by 100.
Divide by 500,000.
Yes.
0.00
500,000
times. Should be 0.
Times 0.22, is it?
Yes.
110,000.
10,000, yes.
110,000. That is the interest per annum. Every year, because you borrowed 500,000, you're paying 110,000 back to the bank. Why would I spend an extra 110,000 as interest expense to be able to get my 500,000? You get my point. If you are to do this in 5 years, because maybe this is a loan that you're taking in 5 years, the total interest will be how much? 110,000 now times 5. 550?
550, yes.
550,000. So the total payment is equals to 1,150,000. So for a property of 500,000, I've ended up paying 1,150,000 for 5 years. Does it make any business sense. It doesn't at this particular time. But if this interest was, say, 12%, it will make a lot of sense. Why? Because the expense this interest expense here will be much lower. Say 50% of this will be around 50,000.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. That is why you realize when interest rates are very high in an economy, then borrowing gets down, because if you borrow this money, say for example you have to take it into a business, there's no business that you'll do that will return for you this amount of money at the end of the very rare will you get this kind of return at the end of the year. So those are very important consideration for you to make. So in this scenario, then Mary is better off saving her the 8.5 as opposed to borrowing. Remember the 8.5, we used absolute figures, but remember the 8.5 is Mary saving it with, say, a pension fund or saving it with the money market fund. Then there's an interest element that she's paid. Currently, the interest element is around 12.5% average, meaning at the end of every year, she's getting like 60,000, or she's getting around 6,000 of whatever she has saved at the end of the year. So instead of spending this expense, she's earning something at the end of the year. So at the end of the 5 years, she will not be paid 500,000. She'll be paid maybe 800,000. She can take 500,000, go and buy the property, or if the property has gone slightly higher, then she can still accommodate the increase in the price of that property, right, and be able to reinvest the balance to be able to start planning for construction. Right. What was I driving to? In an economy where interest rates are very high, it is not prudent to borrow to finance this investment. It's easier to save to finance this investment, because at the end of the day, you will be spending less when you're saving than when you're borrowing. In an economy where interest rates are lower, then it's prudent to borrow than to save. Like what we had in 20, I think that was 2005, 2006, 2007, interests are very low. That's why you saw there's a lot of credit in the economy, because then this expense here is quite manageable, and you can be able to borrow to go and invest to get something back in your pocket. Right. There's something that I cannot leave this page without mentioning. If you are to borrow from the loan apps, maybe to finance your day-to-day expenditures, then you're doing a lot of disservice to yourself. Most loan apps charge interest of around 10-20% per month, not per annum. 10-20% per month, meaning per annum they'll charge you around 100-120%. So if, for example, you keep on borrowing, because again there is a tendency that if you borrow today, you'll again borrow tomorrow. So you're always in a debt cycle.
Yes.
So if you have to borrow 10,000, you pay 12,000. That is 2,000 extra. If you borrow another 10,000, you pay 2,000. At the end of the year, maybe you borrowed a cumulative amount of, say, 200,000. You'll find you've paid another 200,000 in terms of interest to this credit givers, which is a very prudent way of managing your finances. That's why I was saying that sometimes people will come to you to borrow from you at zero interest, because you know you are easy with your money, rather than going to this loan apps and get that money at a credit. Why would I want to pay for? Because if I give you my money at zero interest, meaning I'm paying for you the interest that you're supposed to pay on the other side. Right. So those are things that you need to think through before you give out your money. Okay.
So Mwalimu, I want us to go back to Mary. Should be, yes, there it is. We had listed how Mary's account looks like, and then we brought in something. So in case you're just joining us right now, tunatumia Mary kama example, and Mary earns 50,000 shillings and kapata rent yake hizo vitu zote. So tutoe maneno ya land kando kwanza. So she has a car loan and anakatwa every single month. So you can help us and identify what kind of a car Mary is driving and the amount of loan she's being deducted monthly, or rather she actually wants to buy the car. How does she maneuver with this kind of a very lean account?
If Mary is ambitious and say she wants to drive a car with this budget, then she must really think through her budget very, very critically to be able to manage with this budget and still drive her car. She must be smart in her thinking now. Assuming that she wants to drive a simple car, say a car of around 800,000 or a million shillings. I think that's the price range for the small car. I want to believe $1 million shillings.
Okay.
Should be it. So assuming that she wants to do that, let me just do this. So Mary's car,
yes,
is it? So if she's to drive, then she needs to put in $1 million shillings, is it? Remember, the car doesn't go on water. You need fuel, is it? So you must add fuel here.
Do you think about fuel in a month? I mean, for someone who has a car, do you think about it
yes,
a month,
you must
or like the whole year you plan? This is what
you must plan for the fuel per month and even per year.
Okay.
But the ideal situation is you do it per month, is it?
Okay.
So fuel, maybe Mary will spend maybe 12,000 on the lower side per month. And then there is also maintenance.
Oh, okay.
There is also maintenance. Maintenance is done maybe quarterly, but let's say she has to do another 5,000 per month as maintenance on this car. So on a monthly basis, she has to spend another 12,000, another 17,000 on motor vehicle running expense. So we have motor vehicle running expense at 17,000, is it?
Okay. For someone who doesn't understand what this means, could you help us understand?
We are assuming that Mary wants to drive a car.
Yes.
She wants to drive a car, is it? Therefore, she must put down $1 million. We'll come to how she has gotten $1 million after that. But what I want to deal with is her day-to-day running of that car. That car must use fuel. That car must be maintained on a day-to-day basis. That's why you're giving 17,000 on what we call motor vehicle running expense. If she has to come from her place to go to work, she must budget for 17,000 per
So this 17,000 is
per month.
Total
of the 12 plus the 5. Yes, the $1 million is out still.
Okay.
So if that is the case, then now we'll come back here and come to her budget. So we'll put here motor vehicle running expenses, is it? We must add it here at 17,000, is it? You must add it. Must add it there, and then probably this car she has bought it on a 5-year loan.
Yes.
So we must add loan repayment. $1 million divided by 60 months. Let us just we assume that she's gotten this. This loan. So let us not factor in interest now for the purpose of just our calculation. So divide by 60 months. 60 months is 5 years.
Yes.
Divide by 60. That is around 16,666. So maybe plus interest, she will be paying 25,000. Let us put that.
So this is monthly.
That is monthly.
Okay.
Those are monthly expenses if she wants to drive the car. Is it? So there's something that this has happened. This has done. What is the total now of this expenditure?
Wow.
What is the total now? This is 10, 15, is it? We're now adding all this, is it?
Right.
10,
so,
15.
Yeah.
This is 21, is it? This is 31. This is 36. This is 46. 46 plus 17. You want to say something, Stanley?
Naambia watu wako nyumbani hawataona iko hapa chini, so you can add it up and then have another page as you continue.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me just add it up and then we go to the next page.
So 40.
So we had 46.
Yes.
Plus 17 plus
63.
25. Is it? 88,000.
That's way above what she
income. Way above her income.
Her income is 50,000 in case
you can put for me the other page now.
Yes. So and add. Yeah.
So Mary. So we're still on Mary, is it? So income
50,000.
Now let us call this employment income, is it?
Employment income, yes.
Because now I want to introduce something else. Was 50,000, is it? Expenses is now was 88,000, is it?
Yes.
So she has a deficit of 38,000 that she has to.
Kuna ile 4,000
cover.
baki.
No, now we have not talked about the saving now. We've dropped that saving.
Okay.
Our project now is the car. That is our project. So with the car,
Yes.
she has to look for an additional 38,000 every month to be able to survive. Mary will start thinking, how do I raise an additional 38,000 over and above my income? Assuming Mary is a smart lady, is it? So what she will do is that she will ensure that that car brings her to work. Once she brings it, the car brings her to work, she can lease out that car to a driver to do a taxi,
Yes.
to do Bolt, is it, during the day. So assuming this lady is very smart, is it? So Mary now brings her smartness here
Fanya the taxi.
to be able to cover that, is it? So she goes into taxi business.
Yes.
Typically, a taxi business for that period of time maybe will give 1,000 shillings per day.
On a
On a
fairly
is
good
it?
day.
On a fairly good day. Or let's say 600 shillings, is it?
on the low side. And
Per
so
day.
this
Is it?
hypothetical of it's
These
been
are
every single
hypothetical. Yes. So for 20 days, because weekend she's using the car.
Day. Okay.
So for 20 days, that will be how much? We see if she can cover the 38,000.
20 times 600 is about 12.
That's around 12,000.
I believe so. It should be about 12,000.
So 600 times 20, that's around 12,000, is it?
Yes. But
That's per month, is it? She still have a balance of how much? 20? That is 26, is it?
Yes.
That's a balance of 26. So Mary must still think, how does she cover the other 26? The other 26,000.
Thousand, yes.
Kizungumkuti bado. So what does Mary do? Mary might decide that she's going to take a second job somewhere. After she's done with her day's job, she might decide to take a second, maybe a grooming job somewhere,
Yes.
or just a job somewhere. And that's what most people are doing in the most developed economies. You'll find somebody has an 8 to 5 job, but has another job that goes maybe between 6 to, say, 10. Because you want to live this lifestyle, you must find ways to be able to bridge that gap when it comes to your income. Or maybe Mary might decide to open a grocery shop and employ somebody to be able to bridge that gap. You now get the point why sometimes you need to cut your coat according to your size. Because if it were not for the car, then Mary would still be having 4,000 shillings left in her pocket at the end of the month, and has saved for land somewhere. But because she wants to keep to keep the part, she has decided to buy the car. Not a bad idea, but now she has to think as fast as possible,
yes,
to be able to see how to cover the 38,000. We've given her an idea of the taxi business, but this is not enough. She must do something else to be able to get another 26,000 to be able to bridge that gap. Not a very easy scenario in the current environment,
yes,
but it's doable.
But then one would wonder, I ended all that route, but then I feel I still need to invest more. So we can get into the investment bit, but even Kenyans can really understand it. This is really a reality. So many Kenyans are in right now. You have an 8 to 5, but then you have 3 other businesses out here just to supplement what you have. So what other parts of investment can Mary get into without really having to wake up in the morning and putting through the whole sweat ya kutafutana na mahandbags huko kwa soko nini kama biashara yake or the taxi business?
There are several, let me put it this way. With the digital era, there are several investment or income generating activities that you can do that doesn't require you maybe to go to the market and do the buying and selling stuff. Though that is still a good business environment. There's a gentleman that I work with that does her job perfectly well between 8 and 5. But in the evening when he leaves work, he goes into academic writing, and that earns quite some good income at the end of the. So there are several other things that you can do apart from the buying and selling that can earn you income. But that is on income generation. There is the investment bit. When you want to invest, then you must now be deliberate on how you want to plan your finances. If you have to invest, if I was married and I wanted, my goal is to invest and have some safety net at the end of maybe a given period of time, then the car would be the worst direction to take. It gives you comfort at that time, but at the end of a given period of time, it has drained your money instead of putting money into your pocket. The first option would have been the best option, that you survive for some time, but at the end of maybe 5, 6, 10 years, you have something in your investment net to be able to hold on to. So as you start, for example, as you start your employment, there are things that you must be deliberate to avoid or to forego to be able to invest. Investment is not easy. It requires you to really pinch yourself and discipline yourself. That is what I want to do. But it makes a very big difference at the end of a given period of time. When you look at somebody who deliberately decided to invest, and somebody deliberately decided to consume, then there will be a stark difference between the two people. I give you the example of Mary, that at the end of, say, the 5 years, she has a property somewhere that she can borrow against to develop. And if she develops it, she has capital of maybe 10, 20 million. That's a very big head start if you was to venture into any business. Imagine if you have 10 million that you can invest in a particular business. That's quite some money that can give you a very big leap if you have to invest it somewhere. So you must be deliberate in your investment.
Right. Munga, I believe we have about 2.5 minutes or so to wrap it up. So still on the whole line of investment, I know we've touched on someone who is single, who doesn't really have much responsibility. Earlier on also, in case you're joining us right now, we also looked at a hypothetical of someone who has a family, has one child, so they have that responsibility of school fees come January. So either if you fit in your bracket yote, help us understand, sahi very few days to Christmas. Sahi mtu anataka kupanga to have at least a nice kind of kufunga mwaka vizuri. How do they do that with a little amount they have in their pocket?
You can still do that, but I would want us now, especially for this year, to do it on the reverse. Look at what you've earned. Assuming that your December salary is going to come, assuming that one is you assume that it's going to. Sure, so you have your November salary of say 50,000.
50,000, okay.
And then assume your December salary is also going to check in, is it? Of another 50,000.
This 50,000, ladies and gentlemen, after taxes?
Yes, after taxes, yes. So these are net. So you have a net of 100,000. So this year, if I'm doing my budget, then what I will do is, first of all, remove whatever I'm going to pay in January, all of it. So I'll start with my school fees, because that is the biggest expense for most families.
Yes.
So school fees expense, I'll remove the 20,000. Is it? I'll remove my rent for both December and January. You said rent was 10,000, so that's another 20,000.
10,000, yes.
Is it? I'll remove my utilities for both December and November and December. So that is another 10,000. Is it?
Food. And
I'll remove food for both months. That is 20,000.
As well as transport, then I think.
Transport, yes.
Yes, as we also wrap up, so that you can give you.
Yes, another 20,000.
Yes.
And then maybe parents at 10,000.
Yes.
And then see, out of this, what could I be remaining with? Is it? This is 20, 40, 50, 70, 90, 100. My money is gone. But what does this give me?
Yes.
Give me comfort of mind when January comes. January, most people are I don't know if you even in the office setup, somebody wants money somewhere, borrow me some money. You're always running around looking for money. What you didn't do is to do this budget. So if this guy was me, then I would cancel my traveling plans for December.
Munga, because of time, I want you to look at the camera in front of you, a sentence of wisdom. For people watching us this morning. Kuna mvua inaendelea, so they really need that today.
I think for our current economy, what is important is to be able to pay your day-to-day expenses without going out to borrow outside. Manage your income. Manage your expenses within what you can earn at this particular time.
Thank you very much, George Munga. He's a finance and accounts insurance analyst. Thank you very much for
Thank you, Stanley.
Walking us through. We're in page 5 here. So tumeendelea na business class yetu. I hope you've been taking notes. I hope you use those notes. Next time tutarudi tufanye revision ya hizi notes tuone kama zilikusaidia. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyaringita. Thank you very much for being with us from 6 a.m. until now. We do this every single Monday to Friday.